when I was a military officer, one of the things that I spent a lot of time thinking about and just interacting with was, what does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be an effective leader? As an officer, it was assumed I was a leader, and they trained me in leadership. And there were certainly times when I wasn't very good at it, and I made plenty of mistakes and learned plenty of lessons along the way. And as I was thinking about whether I would continue in the military or not, I just felt like it wasn't a clear culture fit for me with the way that the military operated. So I knew I wanted to go and do something else. And then the question was, well, what would that be? And I had some background in computer and systems engineering that opened up some doors potentially. I thought about doing process engineering, but a lot of the stuff was about management or leadership roles because that's where I'd spent a lot of time. And I figured at the time, I figured no one would hire me in game dev, but might as well try. We'll shoot out some resumes and see what happens. And so I didn't send out actually to very many companies. At the time, I was playing StarCraft 2 and League of Legends. Kind of StarCraft 2 was the game I'd play by myself, and then League of Legends was the game I'd play with my brother and friends and things like that. And I had to look up who made League of Legends. So I went online and was like, who makes League of Legends? And they were like, Riot Games. So, okay, cool. So I went to Riot Games and saw if they had any openings for any roles, and they did. And I think I applied for the production coordinator role because I had no experience. And then I went to Blizzard because I was playing StarCraft 2 and they had an associate producer role or something open, and I applied to that. And Blizzard never got back to me. No surprise there. I didn't have any experience, and they were Blizzard at that point in like 2011. Riot did get back to me. I think the reason they did, there are a couple of reasons. The handful of lucky or blessed or divinely arranged things, depending on your frame. The person who was reviewing resumes was themselves a former military officer. They were in the Air Force. So I think they were able to understand my experience a little bit better than many people who had only ever been a civilian would have. The second thing was Riot was scaling like crazy. They had game dev expertise. They didn't have enough leadership to lead all the stuff that was growing. And so I think they saw me as a leadership hire who really loved games and really loved playing their game. And that's how I got into game development. I basically got through, like, in some sense, I think that was the most unlikely part. Although I found out later that the pass rate on the interviews wasn't insanely high. So I'm also very glad I made it through a pretty intense screening process that they had. And they, pegged me in the production role. They actually said production coordinator wasn't right. And that made sense based on my prior leadership experience, now looking in retrospect. So I joined Riot as an associate producer towards the end of 2011. And from then on, I've been, doing the game production thing. I started right away on League of Legends and was immediately bouncing between a few different teams. And then I was working on Champions for a while. So I think that covers the entering the game development industry.